Something really fishy is going on behind the scenes with the Democrats, and I truly believe, deep down in my heart, that Donald Trump knows about it. The speed with which he is picking all of these different cabinet appointments, I don't think it's so much evidence of him having a plan, but more it's a tactic, so that when the Democrats finally reveal what their game is, they won't just be coming after him. They will be coming after an entire government of people that is set to be put in place. And he's hoping that that's going to make it harder, but he might be underestimating them and what they're going to be willing to do. Now, real quick, as promised, brand spanking new video over at the Patreon channel. And it's for everybody. The $1, $5, $10, $15 level. Anybody who wants to go over there, sign up. Believe me, we have an enemy within the Gaetz. And I reveal who it is. And I show links, and I show statistics, and I show facts. And nobody in the news is talking about it. They're still too afraid to. Because we've been conditioned to be too afraid to talk about who the real enemy is. Now, would love to have you over there. I know a lot of folks debate about the money issue. It's fully refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked, comes right back to you. It is now what? The 19th of November? Something like that? You have until the 19th of February to decide whether you want to stick with the channel or not. Hundreds and hundreds of videos going all the way back to 2018 and 19. All sorts of subjects never before seen here on YouTube. Would love to have you over there. God bless. Thank you so much, everyone who's already signed up. Like I said, brand new content. Go over, check it out. I think you're going to agree with it when you see it. Now, real quick, before we get into what the Democrats are doing, I want to give Marjorie Taylor Greene a huge, huge shout out for bringing the smoke lately in Washington, D.C. She just threatened to do something that is going to make a lot of people really, really, really uneasy. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard of what's going on with this Matt Gaetz character being nominated. I believe it was for Attorney General. She said, for my Republican colleagues in the House and Senate, if we're going to release ethics reports and report our own that Trump has appointed, then put it all out there for the American people to see. Amen. Yes, all the ethics reports and claims, including the one I filed. All your sexual harassment and assault claims that were secretly settled, paying off victims with taxpayer money. The entire Jeffrey Epstein files, tapes, recordings, witness interviews. But not just those, there's more. Epstein wasn't and isn't the only asset. If we're going to dance, let's all dance in the sunlight. I'll make sure we do. Thank you. Absolutely. I hope she does. I hope they call her bluff. I hope she does. I hope we see it all. Now, real quick, for those of you who are unaware, Representative Matt Gaetz from Florida has had some issues going on, and this has nothing to do with Trump. They've been looking into this guy for a long time before he was even on Trump's radar, because he's a bit of a Florida man. Now, looking at all of the allegations, I am sure he is guilty of the vast majority of them. But he's no different than a lot of guys in Washington, D.C. He's just been a little bit sloppy with, he's played it a little too fast and loose with people. And this is him and his wife. He's been accused of having relations with somewhat younger girls, and there being money involved and all this kind of stuff. You know, that doesn't bother me, honestly, about the guy. As far as his job goes, I mean, I'm sure his wife knows all about it. This bothers me more. See, what a lot of people don't know about Matt Gaetz is that Matt Gaetz, amongst many others, has Nikki Fried as a notch on his bedpost. And that's not something that has gone away. That's kind of a regular deal. And she, of course, if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, was the former ag commissioner of Florida that wanted to take a run at DeSantis for governor. And had the Democrat Party actually listened to her and not put in Christ and let her do some things she wanted to do that were a little bit unorthodox, she could have given him a run for his money, because when you talk about Bitcoin and marijuana legalization and other things, Florida's kind of an interesting place. Politics makes very strange bedfellows. But let's get right to it. Didn't want to waste all that amount of time. How many of you remember, right after the election, I said they are still counting votes, and when they get to a certain number, they are going to try to flip the Electoral College. What they want to do, for those of you who didn't see those videos, is they want to get Kamala Harris's popular vote total bumped up, because they're still counting out in California, Oregon, and Washington, to get it near or maybe even surpass Donald Trump's total. So that they can say, yeah, because of that darn old Electoral College, it's not really reflecting the will of the people. So they're going to try to get some never-Trumper Republicans to flip and see if they can, move the needle, so to speak. Now, this was a screenshot I took day one after the election, and Donald Trump was up by 4.7 million votes, something like that. He was up by 4.7 million votes. And then as the days went on and the counting kept going, she started to reel him in a little bit. And now it's 4.6 on day two. And then now it's about that same number. Let's see, 1.8 and 2.7, 4.5. And then it really started to get close. Now we're down to 4. So only in 4 days, they reeled her in, and now it was only, almost 700,000 votes. Now, do you want to see what it is today? Remember, it went from 4.7 down to about 4 in 4 days. After 2 weeks of continual counting, now it's 2.5, 2.6. Right now, Donald Trump has 76.666 million votes, and she's got 74.085, and they're still counting. They are still counting. And if you think I'm just making it up, this guy, Ari Melber, over at MSNBC, decided to go down this road. I knew they were going to do this. His popular vote margin of victory is what they're going to be talking about. That it's down to 1.7%. And they're trying to debunk the idea of a landslide election, because in the winning cause, it's the smallest margin of victory since Nixon, going all the way back to Nixon. See, there's a smaller margin of victory here with Gore, but Gore lost. In a winning cause, 1.7 is the smallest number since Nixon. And they're writing articles about it. This is from Kotke, KOTKE.org. While Mr. Trump won the popular vote for the first time in three tries, he garnered just 50.1% nationally, according to the latest tabulation by the Times, just 1.8 percentage points ahead of Vice President Kamala Harris. And he goes through and he talks about Kennedy, talks about Nixon, talks about Bush, all this kind of stuff. But here's the key. He secured most recent victory by just a cumulative 237,000 votes in 3 states that, had they gone the other way, would have meant victory for Ms. Harris. And of course, it's only half that, because that's all you would have needed to still have won. So he's really saying only about 180-something thousand votes. 118,000 votes. And it's a Florida Marquis. Why are you talking about it, and why do we care? Why are you talking about it, and why do we care? Because the enemy is still out there, and they aren't going away. And even with Mr. Trump in the presidency, if he makes it that far, if he makes it all the way to Jan 20, in real numbers, in real actual numbers, what Fox News is telling you, what right-wing media is telling you, is wrong. In real actual numbers, forget the Electoral College. Yes, of course, he won the Electoral College. Yes, he's going to, all this. In real actual human being numbers, the world you and I have to live in, the amount of people who oppose the guy, it's not some tiny minority. And I use this picture because I think it's really instructive. I'm sure a lot of you would have been surprised to see hardcore right-wing Matt Gaetz Trump supporter being a bed buddy of left-wing Democrat DeSantis enemy Nikki Fried. But, you know, when it comes to certain things, politics doesn't really matter. So, and I'm sure a lot of you are like, well, wait a minute, hold on, he's married in Florida. That's all I'm saying. He's married in Florida. And I'm sure, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I can't believe they did. Oh, that is so. It's common as the day is long for couples to, well, just look up the villages and look up loofahs is all I'm going to say. So I don't get in trouble. But much worse than that could come out in Washington, D.C. if she keeps her pledge, if she keeps her promise. And I really, really hope that we see what she promises, because that would change the dynamic completely. And, you know, there's this thing called posse comitatus that would stand in the way of Trump using the military for civilian deportations. And with this threat out there, with this threat looming, it kind of puts Democrats in a bind, because they could use this to, in 2 years, take back the House, take back the Senate, and make him a lame duck the last 2 years of his presidency. You know, it's the one thing I would really like to see from Mr. Trump, and tell me if you agree or disagree. Since he's won the presidency now, and allegedly both houses of Congress are going to be his and the courts are his, all this stuff about, well, he says this, but what he really secretly means is that, and he's trying to expose, shouldn't all that be done now? All the political gamesmanship, when he comes out and makes a statement or says this or says that, shouldn't he just now speak plainly? Because he can't be reelected. I mean, nobody can make the allegation at this point that, well, he has to say it that way because if that, then he's gotten his entire wish. Not only does he have the presidency, he's got, you know, all of Congress and the courts. And he said on day one, he's just going to start writing off executive order after executive order after executive order, making Bush almost look like a constitutional founding father. So why not just speak plainly? Those of you who are unaware about posse comitatus, it prevents the U.S. military from being involved in domestic policies. It's just that simple. Unless there's a riot, unless there's some direct threat going on at the moment where people are directly in harm's way, you can't use them. And you can't use them for rounding up people who are here illegally that snuck across the border. It's just not allowed to do. So anyway, I'm not the only one talking about this. Lisa Haven, Restricted Republic, Justice Knight, they were talking about this. They've run thumbnails out. Too quiet. Dems have something up their sleeve. I think I know what it is. They're going to do it slowly. It's not going to be all at once. But like I said, he was up 4.7 million votes the day after Election Day. Now, with 76.666 million votes, she's got 74.085. Now it's only 2.5. So she's reeled in 2 million votes. And I'm sure a lot of people go, well, it doesn't really change anything. It will in their calculus. Not for you, not for me, not for, traditional folks, but in their calculus. If they can establish and they can say, look, this wasn't some mandate from the American people. especially when they say, look, in 3 states, and I believe the states that he's referring to are Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. If you look at the difference in the votes in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Florida, he won 49.74 to 48.31 here. He won 50.38 to 48.65 here. And here he won 50.73 to 48.53. So, Wisconsin, I mean, look at Wisconsin. He won by 30,000 votes. 1.7 to 1.58. 750 to 705. So in all of these swing states, it was not a landslide. Not by any, I mean, if you trust the numbers, I guess. If you trust the numbers, but I think the hardest thing that some people are going to have to rationalize is that, let's see if I can get the camera over there so you can see this. Kamala Harris has only garnered 9 million votes in California. Now, some might say, oh, that seems way high. 9 million votes, 9 million votes. Biden allegedly got 11.1. So the 2 million, and Donald Trump got 6 million votes out there back in 2020. And he's got 5.8 million votes out there now. So basically the same number, but he's down a little bit in California, but she's down 2 million votes. But they're still not all reported. So if for some reason she doesn't make that number, doesn't make that popular vote number that they want, they can look to California as being the problem. Which I think I would love somebody to grab this and say, hey, look, somebody who has some reach bigger than my channel, say, hey, look, Biden outperformed Harris in California by 2 million votes. And that's the vast majority of the popular vote difference right now. So really, when they talk about whether it's racism or whether it's Hispanic men or whether it's misogyny or whatever, it's actually California. It's actually the people of California that let her down. Ironically, where she was, hailing from. Her home state let her down. So, I will leave it there. Join us over Patreon. Love to have you. Like I said, brand new video over there right now. And below the video, down in the description, there's at least 8 or 10 links that back up everything I say in the video. It's fairly controversial, but follow the links. And when you look at what just happened in the last election, there's only one truth. There's only one truth about what we're facing and who the real enemy is. So, God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.